Hello everyone, this is Evie the Sponge Reviewer here, and I am back with another SpongeBob SquarePants review. And today, it is July 10th, 2024, and Season 2 of Kamp Koral has came out on Paramount Plus, and my friend was able to put all the episodes into his folder, so I was able to watch the first episode, Mad Squirrel Science and To Pop a Bubble. So these episodes were pretty solid in my opinion. I thought these were pretty decent episodes to start off the second season of Kamp Koral. So in Mad Squirrel Science, in this episode, Sandy and Plankton basically teams up, or Plankton gets Sandy as an assistant to help him out with his doomsday machine or his mayhem machine or whatever, and Sandy ends up basically changing it to where it's a lot more safer to the campers in Kamp Koral. So yeah, this episode was pretty solid in my opinion because there were some moments that I did enjoy from the episode, such as Sandy basically tweaking the mayhem machine to where it would do more safer things, like turning it into an ice cream maker, or it plays country music, or stuff like that. So yeah, this episode was pretty decent in my opinion. It wasn't all that bad or anything, but yeah, so that was a pretty solid episode. Now, and to pop a bubble in this episode, Patrick and SpongeBob goes to Mr. Krabs' general store, to where SpongeBob buys some bubbles, and he ends up blowing a Bubble Buddy camper. So this episode is very similar to the original Bubble Buddy episode from Season 2 of the main SpongeBob series, where SpongeBob makes a bubble friend known as Bubble Buddy, and he basically becomes friends with him, and it causes problems throughout the episode. So it's basically the exact same story as Bubble Buddy, the original Bubble Buddy, but there is a twist at the end where it turns into like this murder mystery story where SpongeBob gathers all the campers and comes up with these excuses, or these stories of how he thought each of his friends had popped the Bubble Buddy. And yeah, so it's basically the original Bubble Buddy, but with but the ending is a bit different from the original Bubble Buddy. But yeah, it's basically that episode, but a much different take on it. So yeah, the start of Season 2 of Kamp Koral was pretty decent in my opinion. These weren't, I would say, bad episodes. I thought they were just decent in my opinion, but yeah. So that's all I'm going to talk about for this review. So, not next week, because next week are going to be the 25th anniversary episodes of the SpongeBob series, but the week after next week, I will be reviewing episode 2 of Season 2 of Kamp Koral. That'll be the week after next week, and then throughout the week, and then throughout August, I will be reviewing the rest of Kamp Koral Season 2 along in August, so there will be more reviews of that coming in August. So yeah, thank you all for watching this review, and I will see you guys next time. Hello everyone, this is Evie the Sponge Reviewer here, and I'm once again back with my review on the Season 2 Kamp Koral episodes that I have to keep up with. But don't worry, I will be reviewing these episodes whenever I get the chance to. So today I'll be reviewing the second episode of Season 2, High and Dry and Beardsmen. And I have to say that both of these episodes were actually pretty solid, in my opinion. So, in the episode High and Dry, Squidward takes the campers out to their trip to the surface, and so they all have to have a buddy system. And this episode was pretty solid. It's because that we did get to see some interesting interactions with the characters up in the dry lands, and there was this running gag of this episode of everyone pretending that they're buddies and whatnot, and they ended up annoying Squidward to the point where he gets really annoyed by it. And yeah, this episode was pretty solid. I really did like the premise. I mean, yes, it is an episode about them going up to the surface, which isn't anything new to this show, but this was a pretty interesting take of it, and I really like the ending twist of the episode, and it involves with a seagull, very similar to the ending of Pressure, but this climax is a little bit different than Pressure's in a way, but I won't go into any further details, but the ending does involve the seagull that ends up attacking our characters, and yeah, so overall, High and Dry was a pretty fun episode, and I really enjoyed the interactions with the characters up in the surface, uh, witnessing it, and all that stuff. So yeah. So moving on to the Beardsmen in this episode, Paul Grunion, also known as the Beardsman, um, comes over to Kamp Koral to teach the campers about the wilderness, and basically he gets all of his powers from his beard. And when Paul Grunion falls asleep at the camp, SpongeBob and Patrick sneaks into his tent, and Patrick ends up taking his beard, and to the point where SpongeBob encourages Patrick that he wasn't supposed to take it, and tells him to put it back into his tent, and SpongeBob and Patrick ends up destroying his beard. And when Paul Grunion wakes up, he realizes that his beard is no longer there, and he gets very upset about it, and because he doesn't have his beard, he doesn't have all of his powers. So, basically, yeah, this episode was another solid one in my opinion, is because it was pretty interesting seeing Paul Grunion's beard doing all these things, such as making fires and helping out the campers and whatnot, and then all he had to do was to believe in himself in order to grow back his beard. So yeah, this was another solid episode in my opinion. Alright, so that is my review on High and Dry and the Beardsmen from Kamp Koral. I was about to say the Patrick Star Show. I don't know what was I going through there, but yeah, at least I stopped myself from saying it. So yeah, until next time, there will be another review whenever I get the chance to review it, so you just have to wait patiently for that. But for the time being, next Monday, which is tomorrow on the 19th, will be the next set of Patrick Star Show episodes, which I'll be reviewing, so stay tuned for that. Goodbye, everyone, and I'll see you guys next time. Hello, everyone. This is EB the Sponge Reviewer here, and I am back with another Season 2 Kamp Koral episode review. And today I'll be reviewing the episodes 5 Times the Fun and Low Fulton. So I'm in, excuse me. So yeah, I'm in 5 Times the Fun. This episode centers around Patrick, where SpongeBob and Sandy were out canoeing, and Patrick ends up going through these different rocks in the shape of a cheese grater and a buzzsaw, and he basically splits in half, and it creates miniature baby-sized clones of Patrick. And it's up to SpongeBob and Sandy to basically get the clones back together so they can form one big Patrick again. So yeah, this episode was pretty. It was fine. It was just a fine episode in my opinion because we've seen cloning episodes before in the show, so this isn't really anything new to the show, but. I can say that they kind of did an interesting approach with this episode, making the clones like babies, I suppose, because they're naked and SpongeBob and Sandy has to like train them and stuff like that. But yeah, and then there's actually this one big climax at the end where the Patricks all become grown now, and then they basically go around camp devouring things. And yeah, this was pretty fine, I guess, of an episode, and I wouldn't say this was anything special, but it is what it is. So that's all I have to say with 5 Times the Fun. Now in the Low Fulton, this episode focuses around the two rich kids from Lady Upturn and Reginald. I don't know if these are their kids or they're just random adopted kids. I really don't know. I want to say that these are supposed to be their kids, I suppose. And basically, They become broke, and they get kicked out of their mansion home, and they have to work if they want to basically live a better life. So they get all these different tasks to do around the camp, such as cleaning up the barnacles off of Mrs. Puff's lighthouse. They have to do kitchen duties with Plankton, and they end up getting fired from their tasks because they keep screwing things up. And this episode wasn't all that great, in my opinion, because, I don't know, this episode wasn't all that fun, in my opinion. It was rather boring because it was just a whole running gag of them getting kicked out of these places because I guess they're supposed to be jerks to the campers and whatnot. And then SpongeBob comes along, and then he basically tells them that they don't need money to make friends or stuff like that. So I really didn't mind. I mean, this episode wasn't all that great in my opinion because I just didn't find it as enjoyable, and it wasn't anything special either. But yeah, it is what it is. So yeah, both of these episodes weren't all that special, but yeah, that's all I have to say with these episodes. Alright, thank you all for watching, and I will be back again with another Kamp Koral review in the future, so stay tuned for that. With that said, this has been Evie the Sponge Reviewer, and I'll see you guys next time. Hello everyone, this is Evie the Sponge Reviewer here, and today I'm here to give you guys another Kamp Koral Season 2 review, and today I'll be reviewing Nut Madness and Mermaid Men and Barnacle Boys. So in Nut Madness, the ice cream truck pays a visit to Kamp Koral, and all the campers are getting their ice creams, and of course, Patrick and SpongeBob, to the ice cream man's annoyance, causes problems with him. And then once Sandy comes out of the outhouse, she sees the ice cream man as a giant peanut, and she goes feral. So it is up to SpongeBob and Patrick to snap her out of her feral state. So yeah, this was a really fun episode. I really did this episode of Sandy turning feral and causing all this ruckus at Kamp Koral because she goes crazy whenever she sees a peanut, and I thought that was really funny. And then whenever she attacks these people, she buries them underground. So yeah, this was a really fun episode. I really enjoyed it. I really did like um, the concept of this episode, and that's really all I have to say for this one. Is because I really don't go way into details with my reviews, just because I do want to try to avoid spoilers at times, but there are times where I do spoil the episodes, but for these set of episodes, I will try not to spoil too much of them. So yeah, overall, this was a really fun episode, and I really enjoyed it. So next up is Mermaid Men and Barnacle Boys. So in this episode, SpongeBob and Patrick gets a Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy comic book, and they pretend to play as Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy, thinking that the campers are in trouble, and they view the camp as like this city, and there's like villains attacking them and stuff like that. But there's actually another part of this episode where Bubble Bass and Kevin, they're also Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy fans as well, and to prove if one of them could be the real Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy, Sandy basically tests their knowledge by setting up a scheme where Elwood is the villain, and they have to go to the general store to stop like this pretend bank robbery. And because Sandy came up with this idea, Elwood becomes a villain in this episode. I really thought that was pretty funny, and then we get to see a cameo appearance of the young versions of Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy towards the end of the episode in their 2D designs. I thought that was really cool as well. So yeah, overall, both of these episodes were really solid. I really enjoyed both of these episodes, Nut Madness and Mermaid Men and Barnacle Boys. And, excuse me, yeah, that's all I really have to say for these episodes. And yeah, so I'll see you guys next Sunday with episode 31 of Kamp Koral Season 2. So yeah, thank you all for watching, and I will see you guys next time with those reviews. Hello, everyone. This is EB the Sponge Reviewer here, and I am back with another Kamp Koral review. And today I'll be reviewing episodes 31, A Tale of Two Roxies and Night Owls. So, just like with the previous two episodes that I watched, I actually really enjoyed these two episodes as well. So, in the first segment, A Tale of Two Roxies, the episode centers around Big Roxy and Little Roxy, which are two twins that are joined together. And they basically talk about how much they appreciate each other, but they ended up getting into a feud. So they end up splitting apart when Big Roxy slams the door and separating Little Roxy. And so they basically go on their own separate ways, and they hang out with both SpongeBob and Patrick. Well, Big Roxy with Patrick and Little Roxy with SpongeBob. And there was this little running gag in this episode where the campers found Little Roxy as a snake, and Mr. Krabs was out with a bat trying to take care of the snake. As a matter of fact, Mr. Krabs in both of these segments was pretty much like on patrol duty, but it was really interesting seeing that side of his character in these two episodes. So this episode was actually pretty fun. I really enjoyed this episode. I really did like seeing Big Roxy and Little Roxy going their own separate ways, and especially the part where they were playing volleyball with both SpongeBob and Patrick. That was really intense. And yeah, overall, I didn't really mind this episode all that much. I found it to be enjoyable, and so that's all I have to say with A Tale of Two Roxies. Now moving on to Night Owls. In this episode, SpongeBob, Patrick, and Sandy decide to come up with their own challenge to stay up all night, up until 3 a.m. Once their days of fun at camp in the morning, or during the daytime, that is, isn't all that interesting to them. So, yes, just like I stated in the previous episode, Mr. Krabs was out on patrol duty, making sure that the campers are asleep. And, so there was this one part where SpongeBob, Patrick, and Sandy were sneaking around, and Patrick accidentally set off this contraption, and Mr. Krabs caught them. And so this safe just falls from the sky, and Mrs. Puff just comes out of nowhere, and she tells them to not think about it. I thought that was really funny. And then there was a new character in this episode that when they were going through this forest, it was kind of like this female fish character who basically keeps them awake or something like that. And Narlene and Nobby shows up in this episode to help out, and they accidentally gave them their grandmother's Sleepy Squeeze, which ended up making them fall asleep instead of Sugar Squeeze when they tried to go into their house to get an offer of one so they can stay up all night. So yeah, overall, A Tale of Two Roxies and Night Owls, these were pretty fun episodes in my opinion. Yeah, sorry, my mouth is a little messed up. It's because I didn't bother cleaning my face up after I brushed my teeth, but it is what it is. Alright, so until next time, I'll see you guys next Sunday with episode 32. So yeah, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Hello everyone, this is EB the Sponge Reviewer here, and today I'm here to give you guys my review on episode 32 of Kamp Koral SpongeBob Under Ears, Calling Some Monsters and Dig This. So, the first segment, Calling All Monsters, SpongeBob and Patrick decides to turn back into monsters from the Midnight Snack Attack episode to hang out with all of the monster campers at Kamp Koral. So this episode was okay in my opinion. It's because that this episode really wasn't anything that made me very excited about. But we did get to see a lot of returning characters from previous episodes, such as the Kraken from Wise Kraken. We also had the core group of monsters, such as the little vampire fanged fish, Big Roxy, Little Roxy, the Glob fish camper, Nosferatu, or Kid Ferratu, that's his name. And yeah, so and then when SpongeBob and Patrick's monster powers worn out because Karen gave them this vending machine. If you guys don't remember from the Midnight Snack Attack episode that turned them into monsters, they were cupcakes, and because their powers worn out, the monsters then began attacking them. Because in the episode, SpongeBob and Patrick, because they were monsters, they were destroying things, but the other monsters were just taking things very casually, and then they said that attacking things was just a stereotypical thing that monsters do. But yeah, and then at the end of the episode, just a little tiny spoiler, SpongeBob and Patrick were given antidote to turn the monsters back to their normal selves. And yeah, that was calling all the monsters, or calling some monsters, that's the name of the episode. Yeah, it was okay, it wasn't anything crazy, but that's all I have to say. Alright, so next is Dig This. In this episode, SpongeBob, Patrick, and Sandy finds dinosaur bones, or just bones in general, out in Kamp Koral. And then they decide to build a dig site for them to take care of the bones. And then it realized that Narlene and Nobby are involved with these bones just because that they find this quicksand where it gets rid of all their unnecessary junk. And so, yeah, because Sandy is very fascinated about this, she gets really upset where everyone keeps making fun of science, such as SpongeBob and Patrick. There was like a small little joke that they made in the episode called "Science is baloney." We'll make some pepperoni or something like that because they were just making a joke about science. But yeah, and then and then they realized that all the junk that they were finding was all behind Narlene and Nobby, and so they decided to make this giant creature out of the stuff dropped in, and then the creature started attacking everyone in Kamp Koral. And yeah, those were always the fun moments of the show, is where the camp is under attack by either these monsters or these giant beings. And because this is SpongeBob SquarePants, this is very common in the show where these giant creatures attack the city, and it's always fun. But yeah, that's all I have to say for Dig This. This episode was a little bit slightly better than Calling Some Monsters, but that's all I have to say for the episode. Alright, so next Sunday I'll be taking a look at episode 33. So yeah, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Hello, everyone. This is Evie the Sponge Reviewer here, and I am back with another Kamp Koral review. And today I'll be reviewing episode 33. Wait, hold on just a second. I have this episode pulled up on my... Oh yeah, Unbreaking and De-entering and Swimming Hold. Yeah, I just have to pull up the episode on Google Chrome. Well, on Google Drive, that is, sorry. But yeah. So, in Unbreaking and De-entering, SpongeBob is out doing things at camp, and he basically doesn't have the thing that he needs for those certain things, and Gary comes out of nowhere and basically gives SpongeBob those different objects, and it turns out that he's actually stealing those objects from other people, and it is up to SpongeBob and Patrick to return the items back to their respective owners before they find out. So, yeah, this episode, in my opinion, it wasn't anything too crazy or anything. In fact, I found this episode to be rather weak. It's because that it really wasn't all that interesting, in my opinion. It was mainly just Gary going around getting stuff for SpongeBob, and then he realizes that Gary is stealing things from people, and then the rest of the episode focused on SpongeBob and Patrick returning back those items, and it isn't anything crazy or special, so I just found this episode to be rather weak. So I will go ahead and give out some examples of some of the things that Gary stole, so I can actually give this review its proper send-off, and that is SpongeBob and Patrick returning Mrs. Puffs' wig. You got them returning back Bubble Bass's comic book and all that. And then it all turned out it all turns out that they were actually throwing away those objects because they were in no good use. So yeah, and that was the episode in a whole, but yeah, so it wasn't anything too special, but yeah. So the next episode is Swimming Hold. In this episode, SpongeBob and Patrick discovers Narlene and Nobby's secret swimming hole, and they basically keep a secret to them that they won't tell anybody about the swimming hole. And of course, they end up breaking their promise, and they end up inviting everyone to their swimming to Narlene and Nobby's swimming hole, and they get very angry about it, and so they basically leave and trap them in there as a punishment. So yeah, this episode, I guess it was slightly better than the first segment, but it was rather predictable, obviously, of them breaking their promise, because we all knew that they were going to break their promise about them with the swimming hole and everything. But I did find the ending to be rather funny, seeing SpongeBob and the others basically attacking Narlene and Nobby for leaving them at the swimming hole. I found the ending to be somewhat enjoyable, I guess. But yeah, but again, I will say this episode is another rather weak one, because it was rather predictable, knowing that SpongeBob and Patrick would break their promise, and other than that, it was just mainly the characters just enjoying themselves at the swimming holes. So I wouldn't say that was all that interesting as well. But yeah, so overall, both of these segments were rather okay. There weren't anything bouncy or wild off the wall or anything. But yeah, so that is my review on Unbreaking and De-entering and Swimming Hold. I will be back again tomorrow on November 11th with my review on Snow Yellow and the Seven Jellies from the main SpongeBob series. And not only that, we also have Thanks But No Thanksgiving coming out on November 25th from the Patrick Star Show. And we also have 2 episodes coming out in December, being Sandy's Country Christmas and Squidina's Holiday Days or Holidays Special. That's also coming out on December 2nd. So we are having new episodes coming out those days as well. So thank you all for watching, and I will see you guys next time with those reviews. Hello everyone, this is Evie the Sponge Reviewer here, and I'm back with another Kamp Koral review. And today I'll be reviewing episode 34, Krabsy the Clown and Lord of the Larps. So, in Krabsy the Clown, it is Pearl's birthday, and the thing that she wants the most is a clown. So, Mr. Krabs actually hired a clown to come over to Kamp Koral to deliver Pearl's surprise, but the clown is running late, and so Mrs. Puff suggests that Mr. Krabs becomes the clown, and that's where he starts to have a panic attack, and he then goes into the camp bunker, and then he explains to SpongeBob about Krabsy the Clown, and which was really funny about this scene is that the way how Mr. Krabs tells the story about Krabsy the Clown is by a little golden book. I thought that was really clever and pretty funny at the same time. So Mr. Krabs then dresses up as Krabsy the Clown, and he basically goes around Kamp Koral doing clown routines such as juggling, making balloon animals, and throwing pies at people, until Mr. Krabs decides to get into the role a little bit too well, and it caused an annoyance to everyone at Kamp Koral. So this episode was really fun. I really enjoyed this episode. It kind of reminded me of Krabby Land from season 3, where Mr. Krabs dressed up as a clown, but this episode takes that idea to the next level, and it was really fun. And I really enjoyed the ending of the episode too, where Mr. Krabs foreshadowed this giant balloon animal that he actually makes at the end. It actually paid off. And yeah, this was actually a really interesting episode. I really enjoyed this one. And yeah, this was a really fun episode. Alright, so next up is Lord of the Larps. And in this episode, Mo, who is a member of Larry's side of Kamp Koral, along with Craig Mamelton and this really tall fish character. Again, I'm not really sure the name of these characters of Kamp Koral. So she ends up at Bubble Bass's side of camp, and she plays a board game with them known as Lord of the Larps, and because they play, it's basically a medieval themed board game, and they basically pretend to be the characters of Lord of the Larps, and the whole episode centers around Moe, SpongeBob, Bubble Bass, Kevin, Craig Mamelton, and Larry the Lobster playing Lord of the Larps in real life by dressing up as like an ogre, one of the campers dressed up as a bear or something like that, and they started chasing each other around of Kamp Koral. But yeah, this episode was basically them pretending to play Lord of the Larps. The first a board game, and then the rest of the episode was just them like battling each other outside of Kamp Koral. And again, this was another fine episode. This one wasn't all that bad either. It was just the campers having fun, so I don't mind that as much. But yeah. Alright, so that is my review on Krabsy the Clown and Lord of the Larps. Both of these episodes were pretty solid in my opinion. So yeah, until next time, I'll be seeing you guys on Monday, which is tomorrow, on my review on Thanks But No Thanksgiving from the Patrick Star Show that's coming out tomorrow in the United States. So be on the lookout for that review. With that said, thank you all for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Hello everyone, this is EB the Sponge Reviewer here, and I'm back with another Kamp Koral review. And today I'll be reviewing episode 35, Mascot Mayhem, and Putt Up or Shut Up. So, in Mascot Mayhem, Perch Perkins is announcing a new mascot to perform at the big game at Kamp Koral. And Mr. Krabs and Mrs. Puff are hosting auditions. And SpongeBob and Patrick becomes contestants for the audition to become the new mascot, which is Bitey the Sea Bear, in which SpongeBob wants the offering to become one. So yeah, this episode was actually pretty fun. As a matter of fact, I want to say that the majority of the highlights of this episode comes from the episode's climax, where the big game happens, and I do want to keep my focus on that one, because the first half of the episode were just the auditions with the anchovies. We had Bubble Bass. As a matter of fact, Bubble Bass brought back his famous laugh from Pickles in this episode, which I thought was really cool. And let's actually talk about that climax real quick. So I really did enjoy the climax of this episode, of both SpongeBob and Patrick competing as the new mascot for Kamp Koral, where SpongeBob plays as Bitey the Sea Bear and Patrick as Outie the Outhouse, and they both compete by doing a performance on the stadium, where we got Patrick doing a guitar solo with the Goofy Goober guitar, and we also had SpongeBob using these jellyfishes as drums, in which he attracts a sea bear. And Patrick then saves the day by beating the crap out of the sea bear by saving SpongeBob's life. So yeah, overall, this was actually a really fun episode. I really enjoyed the concept of the episode of Kamp Koral hosting an audition to become the new mascot for Kamp Koral. And I thought that was a really cool concept for an episode. So next up is Putt Up or Shut Up. In this episode, Squidward introduces mini golf to Kamp Koral, and Mr. Krabs and Squidward then competes in a mini golf competition. Excuse me, where all the campers gives them the wrong equipment for golfing, so they end up using different equipment to play golf with, such as SpongeBob and Patrick's limbs, baseball bats, for example. And yeah, this episode was also pretty decent. Seeing Mr. Krabs and Squidward competing mini golfing. And just like with Mascot Mayhem, this episode does have another reference or a little Easter egg to a past episode, and that is with Foxy Grandpa from One Crab's Trash, where Patrick was wearing a Foxy Grandpa shirt in the episode. So yeah, overall, this was a decent episode, but if I had to pick between the two, I don't know, I think I kind of like Mascot Mayhem a little bit better because of that ending, but Putt Up or Shut Up was also a solid episode as well. So yeah, that's all I have to say with these two episodes. All right, so thank you all for watching. There is going to be more new episodes of both SpongeBob and the Patrick Star Show starting tomorrow. But what I'm saying is that they're all coming out on different days. They're not all coming out on the same days. But yeah, so thank you all for watching, and I will see you guys next time with those reviews. Hello, everyone. This is EB the Sponge Reviewer here, and I'm back with another Kamp Koral SpongeBob's Under Years review. And today I'll be reviewing the episodes Who's Complaining and Patrick Star, aka episode 36. So, in the episode Who's Complaining, Squidward noticed that Kamp Koral is needs of repairments because he's been going around hurting himself through Kamp Koral, and he goes to send the complaint to Mr. Krabs, but then Mr. Krabs then tells Squidward that he needs to file a complaint to the complaint department, in which Squidward has a hard time finding the complaint department, and so Mr. Krabs gives out another suggestion where he must put his complaint in the complaint box. And yeah, so that is the basic premise of this episode. This episode was fine, I guess. I mean, basically what this episode was about was, like I stated earlier, is Squidward sending a complaint when he notices that Kamp Koral needs some repairments. And throughout the episode, we just got all the campers witnessing all of these rundowns of Kamp Koral, and then Squidward then gets SpongeBob and Patrick to help repair Kamp Koral and everything, and such as fixing a table for Bubble Bass. What else they did in the episode? Yeah, I'm already forgetting because, I mean, it really doesn't matter. So all I'm gonna say with this episode is that it was just fine, nothing too crazy, and yeah, that's really all I have to say with this episode. All right, so Patrick Star. In this episode, it is Patrick's birthday, and everyone in Kamp Koral gives him food as a present, and then when SpongeBob and Sandy gives Patrick his present, he gives him a telescope for him to see a star up in the sky, and Patrick is very upset about it, and then the star that he finds in the telescope crashes into Kamp Koral, and Patrick adopts the star as his next present. Oh yeah, I remember now. SpongeBob and Sandy gave Patrick an adopt a star certificate. That's what happened in the episode, and that's how Patrick ended up adopting a star. So the star in this episode is a baby, and so Patrick names the star Gunther, and he basically goes around Kamp Koral showing Gunther through everyone at the camp, to where he ends up burning everything in the episode. And yeah, this episode was slightly better in my opinion than Who's Complaining, because I did enjoy at least some of the jokes that they did with this episode, such as Gunther and Pearl going around burning things like Mr. Krabs' money. I thought that was pretty funny. And then of course every time Gunther burns things, it turns stuff into like gold or diamonds in the episode. So yeah, overall, Patrick Star was a slightly better episode than Who's Complaining. And that's really all I have to say with the episode, because I don't want to go into any more details than what I described. So yeah. Alright, so that is it. That is my review on Who's Complaining and Patrick Star. I do have 3 episodes left of Season 2 to review, which I will cover the next following Sundays, 2 days or 2 weeks after this Sunday. I'll be back with my review on episode 37. So yeah, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time with those reviews. Hello everyone, this is EB the Sponge Reviewer here, and I am back with another Kamp Koral review. And today I'm here to review episode 37, A Fin Full of Sand Dollars and Cretins of the Night. So, in A Fin Full of Sand Dollars, the campers pretends to be cowboys, and they turn Kamp Koral into this western setting. And so, yeah, that's what the whole premise of this episode is about. It's just the campers pretending to be cowboys and doing cowboy-related things, such as drinking root beer, square dancing, and there is a side plot of this episode where Narlene and Nobby pretends to be the vermins of the Western Kamp Koral, and they end up having a a fight against Sandy in the episode's climax. So yeah, this episode was pretty decent. I really did. Someone enjoyed the antics of the characters pretending to be cowboys and everything. As a matter of fact, there's this really funny joke in the episode's climax where Sandy, Narlene, Nobby, and the other campers were about to fight each other. You got this. We got the stereotypical Western fight sequence where it shows the cowboys getting angry or getting aggressive, and they have the close-ups of their faces. They actually depicted Sandy as a realistic squirrel when they did Sandy's close-up, and I thought that was pretty funny. And yeah, overall, this episode was pretty decent, and I won't go into any other details besides that, but yeah. Alright, so Cretins of the Night. In this episode, SpongeBob and Patrick are visiting the haunted side of Kamp Koral with the Halloween vampire scary monster campers such as Roxy and Little Roxy, or Big Roxy and Little Roxy, that is. Kid Farras to the blob fish character. And so SpongeBob and Patrick wants to become vampires. And so Kid Ferratu decides to turn them into vampires by putting them into these coffins, which magically turns them into vampires. And there was another character in this episode, which is like this hand puppet thing that Kid Ferratu had. Well, it's not. Well, it is a hand puppet, but it's not like an actual puppet. It's like his hand with googly eyes and a mouth. Where you know those little hand puppet things where you like move your thumb to pretend like it's a mouth or something like that. That was like a running joke of the episode. And whenever they did this, they had like this live action hand doing the talking and everything. And then there was this really intense moment in the episode where Nurse Helga was going to murder them because they are vampires. So yeah, in the episode, SpongeBob and Patrick were doing vampire things such as drinking blood, scaring the campers, forcing them to do their willings, such as making Mr. Krabs and Squidward dance and everything. And yeah, so overall, this was another decent episode, and that's really all I have to say. Alright, so that is my review on A Fin Full of Sand Dollars and Cretins of the Night. I only have 2 episodes left of Kamp Koral, so next Sunday I will be reviewing episode 38. So be on the lookout for that. And with that, thank you all for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Hello everyone, this is EB the Sponge Reviewer here, and I'm here to give you guys my review on the final episode of Kamp Koral, End of Summer Days. And yeah, this episode was a pretty decent series finale. I mean, it wasn't anything crazy or anything, but I think this episode was rather decent, and it did have some okay moments. So in this episode of Kamp Koral, it is the last day of summer, and everyone has to board the bus to go home back to Bikini Bottom. But SpongeBob and Patrick has other plans, where SpongeBob wants to stay at the camp to finally catch his first jellyfish. But along the way, something terrible happens when 2 criminals enters Kamp Koral, being Sticky Fins and Dorsal Dan, first appearing in the season 10 episode, The Getaway, where they plan on making pies filled with loot. So that's basically what their big plan is throughout the episode. So yeah, as I stated in the beginning of this video, this was a rather decent episode to end off the Kamp Koral series, where SpongeBob and Patrick basically stays over at the camp, where they basically have fun, play around, while SpongeBob tries to get his first, where SpongeBob finally tries to catch his jellyfish, and he does end up catching his jellyfish at the end of the episode. Or, well, not at the very end of the episode, but he did end up catching it towards the middle part of the episode, and he uses his jellyfishing skills to lure Dorsal Dan and Sticky Fins to their doom when they realized that they were criminals. Sandy was in this episode, but she didn't play much of a big role. As a matter of fact, she only had one small appearance in the episode where she referenced Tea at the Tree Dome, because if you guys didn't know, well, I'm sure you guys already knew already that SpongeBob and Sandy meets again in the season 1 episode, Tea at the Tree Dome. And yeah, that's really all I have to say with this episode. It was rather decent. It was mostly SpongeBob and Patrick playing around in Kamp Koral. SpongeBob trying to get his jellyfishing badge. He gets the badge, and then Dorsal Dan and Sticky Fins ends up kidnapping Patrick by feeding him the poisonberry pies, and then the poisonberry pies ends up causing him to vomit out treasures and stuff like that. Alright, everyone, that's it. That's my review on all the episodes of Kamp Koral. This was a rather mixed bag of a spin-off series. There were some highs and lows of this show, but it turned out to be rather a decent show. So, until next time, everyone, I'll see you guys on Friday. Yeah, on Friday with my episode reviews of the new season 15 episodes, being Witness Protection and Wary Gary. Those episodes are coming out this Friday, so I will be reviewing those the morning before they come out in the US, because I do have the episodes in hand with me. So yeah, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time with those reviews.